This is the tool set we recommend for Slidetrack installs. If there are multiple blinds adjacent on the same site, just check that all head boxes will be level using a laser level. In this example, we'll be fitting the blinds face fit, so we need to lift the box up above the opening and make sure it's centralised. Mark where you'll need to drill the fixings. And pre-drill the mounting holes in the head box if necessary. Now's a good time to consider drilling an exit hole for the power cord. Fix the head box into position on one side and lift up, ensuring that it's level before fixing the opposite side. Once both sides are fixed, you can add some extra mounting screws as required. We recommend approximately 1 per metre. Measure from the bottom of the head box to the ground to get your required channel lengths. Deduct 1 millimetre from your measurement or up to 5 millimetres to allow some play for the spline to slip into the track. Mark these measurements on your tracks and channels. It's absolutely critical that these measurements are accurate. You need to mark where your channels will be fixed to the wall. In this example, we've used a laser level which we use to make sure that the rivets will all be uniform. We recommend at least 5 fixing points at any opening above 2400 millimetres. In this example, we're using angles for a face fit. Because this is a face fit, we're fitting the angles to the opening first. It's important to use a spirit level to make sure that the angles are true. If this was an in-reveal fit, we can use deep channels or extra deep channels to make up for any out of square openings. You can begin to drill and rivet the channels to the angle. Repeat these steps for each of the 5 fixings along the opening. Then slide the top of the track over the channel and move it into place. Place the drive shaft into the motor side and then place the mounting pin into the other side. Slide the axle assembly into the end plate mounting slot using the brackets provided. If there's any play between the shaft on the motor side and the mounting point, adjust the circlip to suit and remount. For this install, we're using a Solar Pro with a 12-volt motor. It's easier to adjust the blind during the install using an E-port battery. Run any loose cabling you have from the motor down the inside of the channel behind the track to create a drip loop. Using the controller to lower the curtain, check to see if the skin is falling straight. Slide the bottom bar onto the skin and fit the relevant weights for the blind. Fix your end caps into the bottom bar, there'll be 2 on each side. Tilt the bottom bar up and slide the lower end into the track and drop the higher end into the opposite track. Ensure that the spline is sitting in front of the track for a smooth operation on the way up. Then take the blind all the way to the top. Stop just under the fabric guides. Lift one end of the bottom bar up by hand and engage the side spline into the keyhole opening at the top of the fabric guide. Make sure that the side tracks are both pulled in against the bottom bar to make this a little easier. Once it's in, move to the other side and repeat. Here's an example of an off-cut side spline being fed into the keyhole opening of the fabric guide. Now drill the rivet point for the blind top stops. Use something behind the channel to make sure you don't drill through the skin. We recommend you do this approximately 30 millimetres down from the top of the channel. Carefully take the blind back down to the bottom and set the bottom limit. Looking at the bottom, check that the side tracks on each side are in from the back of the channel by the same amount, nominally 5 mil if the opening is square. In this example, we're fitting face fit, but if it was in reveal, you will decide which will be the front of the blind and normally rivet on the other side for neatness. Start by fixing the left-hand side track. With a long spirit level, make sure that the side track is vertical before you drill any holes. Drill a hole for the bottom rivet approximately 100 millimetres up from the bottom and 10 millimetres in from the back of the side track. Insert a rivet in, but don't pop it. Move the bottom bar up to about halfway, check the left-hand side track is still perfectly vertical, and again fit a loose rivet to that side. Move the bar up to the top and drill a third attachment hole approximately 30 mil down from the top edge. Once you're comfortable that your blind's rolling upwards and downwards smoothly, repeat the fixing points on the right hand side track as you did with the left. Wiggle the bottom bar backwards and forwards to make sure you have 3mm play. Carefully take the blind back down to the bottom. If it stops or if it's hard to pull down, remove the top side rivet so the top of the tracks can float. Do not use force to pull the blind down. You may tear it if it's not central. Place the toolbox or an obstacle on the ground in the centre of the blind and drive the bottom bar down onto it and force it down, which will release some fabric at the top tube. Check that the fabric is dropping down straight between the top tube and into the side tracks on both sides. It's absolutely critical for a well-balanced blind that the spline is lining up well with the tracks. If not, unwind the blind to expose the aluminium tube and slide the fabric along to centralise it. With the fabric still loose, adjust both sliding outer sections of the top tube so that the fabric cut edge is aligned with the outside of the 84mm slider. This is an example of a skin perfectly lined up with the edge of the slider. Check that there's no play on the top tube and fit the wire clip on the idler end bracket. Now raise the blind and set the top limit so the bottom bar touches both stops. Now raise and lower the curtain all the way. Your bottom bar should be level. If the bottom bar is still not level, lower it back onto the toolbox and move the slider out on the side where the bar was low. For example, if the left-hand side of the bottom bar is sitting higher, you push the right-hand slider outwards to bring the right-hand side of the bottom bar up. Fix off all 6 rivets on both sides of the tracks, and then add a further 2 rivets between the bottom, middle and top on both sides, totaling 5 rivets per side. Attach the headbox cover and rivet into place at both ends. Sync the solar panel to the remote by holding a magnet to the bottom corner until you hear 3 distinct clicks after 5 to 10 seconds. Within 60 seconds of hearing the 3 clicks, hold the center button on the remote for 3 to 10 seconds or until you hear 3 more clicks. Connect the motor terminals to the solar panel and then mount the solar panel on top of the headbox using the supplied mounting clips. Because this is a face fit application, we're running a bead of silicone along the top of the headbox to make sure it's watertight. And finally, lubricate the channels with some silicone spray. It's good to recommend to the customer to do this approximately every 3 months.